All right, today we are diving into the psychology of a very specific group of people, a generation that often feels caught between two completely different worlds, the analog past and the digital future. Let's get right into it.
So, let me ask you this. Do you have crystal clear memories of using a rotary phone, but you're also the person your family calls for tech support? If that sounds familiar, then you know exactly what it feels like to live with one foot in the past and one firmly planted in the future.
For most of your life, you've probably felt like you don't quite fit. People try to squeeze you into the Gen X box or the Millennial box, but neither one feels like home, right? It's like you're an outsider in both generations, carrying this kind of old soul wisdom that just doesn't seem to match the year you were born.
Well, turns out you're not out of place at all. You are a Xennial. And your brain, it's basically running on this unique software, a kind of psychological bilingualism that you developed by growing up in two totally different realities. It's the reason you feel like you've lived 100 years in just 40.
So how did this happen? Well, the first piece of the puzzle starts with your brain's incredible journey, from a completely analog childhood to a fully digital adulthood.
What is so fascinating about this is the timing. As a teenager, your world was all analog. You passed actual paper notes in class, and if you missed your favorite TV show, that was it. It was gone forever. But then, the digital revolution exploded right when your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that adapts to new things, was at its most flexible. So you didn't just learn new tech, you became truly fluent, a technological bilingual.
And this part is absolutely key. You remember a world where you could be unreachable for hours on end, and it wasn't a crisis, it was just life. That memory gives you a sense of being grounded, a kind of old wisdom that is getting rarer and rarer in our constantly connected world.
And this bilingualism has some serious real-world advantages. You know how to have a real, face-to-face conversation without glancing at your phone every 5 seconds. But at the same time, you don't break into a cold sweat when your job introduces new software. You've been adapting your whole life. You really do have the best of both worlds. Now, for the second piece of the Xennial puzzle, your relationship with your own past. Your memories were formed in a totally different way, because for the most part, there's no digital proof they ever happened.
Just think about that for a second. Your most embarrassing, cringiest moments, they only exist as stories. That terrible haircut, that awkward breakup, they aren't saved forever in a searchable digital archive for anyone to find.
And you know what? This is exactly how our brains are designed to work. Memory is supposed to be fluid. You live through something, your brain edits it, keeps the important stuff, and lets the rest just fade away. You weren't trapped by documentation, so your memories got to breathe and evolve naturally.
And because you didn't have this constant digital audience watching your every move, you built your identity from the inside out. It was based on your own values, not on how is this going to look online. It gave you a strong inner compass, a kind of self-awareness that usually takes people decades longer to develop. But, of course, being in this unique position wasn't all easy. It came with its own set of burdens. And that brings us to the third piece of the Xennial identity, the specific economic and social weight you've had to carry. Let's talk about the year 2008. For so many Xennials, this was a defining moment. You were just getting your careers off the ground when the massive financial crisis hit. Living through that kind of economic trauma right at that formative time left a scar, a deep-seated feeling that everything could fall apart at any moment. Now, you combine that financial anxiety with a classic latchkey kid childhood. You grew up with this Gen X-style self-reliance. Your parents might not have known where you were for hours, and that was normal. You learned how to solve your own problems, how to handle tough situations, and basically how to be the reliable one long before you were supposed to be.
And all of these experiences forged you into this incredible walking paradox. You're fiercely independent, but you're also a great team player. You're fluent in digital and analog. And you carry this healthy dose of skepticism from everything you've seen, but somehow you're still stubbornly optimistic about what's next.
So what does all this add up to? It means that feeling of being in between, well, it's not a weakness. It's time to see it for what it really is, your greatest superpower. You are the bridge generation. You are one of the last groups of people who vividly remember the world before the internet took over, and you are one of the first to master the world after. That gives you this incredibly rare and valuable perspective on the monumental shift we've all gone through. You get the trade-offs on a gut level. You know what we lost, that simple ability to be bored, to be alone with your own thoughts. But you also know what we gained,
a world of connection that your younger self would have thought was pure science fiction. You're not too old or too young. There's a much better word for what you are. A lighthouse.
Your resilience, your unique mix of skills, your wisdom, it all acts as a guiding light for others. You don't shine because your life has been easy. You shine because you have navigated a fundamental change in how humans live, a change that was chaotic, messy, and totally unprecedented, and you came out the other side.
So I'll leave you with this question. Do you still see yourself as someone caught between two worlds? Or are you ready to see yourself for what you really are, an expert in transition itself?